What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our speed build. I know it's been a while, and I know I'm late today, but hey, all the moving stuff is finally out the way, and I can get back to work on this house. Has been like intimidating since we started, and also building on this idea I had of a mountain path that kind of gives a nice gameplay overview of the house. So this is a longer episode today, so you'll see we make some really nice progress on the level and get some stuff done, which I'm pretty excited about and excited to show you guys. It all kind of started with this idea I had for like a boulder like crashing through the wall of the house, and obviously it didn't make that much sense because the house is so much further away from the cliff, but I kind of took that idea and I instead used it as like an opportunity to put some like environmental storytelling kind of, and show the player like a way up and around. So it's kind of hard to explain, but you'll see in a second. Right now we're just kind of flying through the map, so you see all the progress we've made. Off camera I did do a little bit of polishing on like the road up there and like putting the trees where they're supposed to be, so you can't really see it in the video I don't think, but yeah, I did do some like off camera tweaking. But finally here we are at the house, and this wall down here you'll see eventually becomes our our little idea. And the cliff, honestly, I really started liking how it came out, and I thought midway through doing it I was a little how would you say, I was a little scared, I guess, because I didn't know. I thought it was coming out a little bad, but I don't know, I think I made it work by the end. And honestly, I think this area really needed this option. I've been kind of making sure that there's options for all the arenas, I guess you can say, or that's what I would call like the town down there, or like a point of interest that a lot of enemies are going to be at. So the house is going to be one of those areas, and I didn't want it so that the only way you can get up there is coming in through the road, because even our little fort down there, if you remember, the path kind of leads up into the road but before the house, so either way you're always going to be coming in from that direction. So I kind of wanted to just make sure that there's more options and flexibility. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should put something else on the other side as well, but I'll probably get to that when I work on the level again. But yeah, I really just want to incorporate options. Like, that's really big for me. Ubisoft does this a lot for their games, or their open world games. They always have like their arenas be like in a valley or something, so you always have like the opportunity to snipe, or whatever your gameplay style is, you can do it on the arena. So I'm trying to do the same thing here, and I think it ends up coming out pretty nice. I want to keep this like energy for even when I go into like future games, or like when I finally get to do my dream, which is to make a game. I want to make sure that like whatever I do, there's always options. Like, I really don't want to limit players. I feel like a lot of games will strip away the players like ability to be powerful, or in their own way, you know what I mean? So they'll like force you through like a choke point, or like a choke point gameplay wise, and you won't have any option but to like engage in like in a way that you probably wouldn't even want to. Like, if you're a stealth player, you're not gonna want to like go head on. So definitely when I do games in the future, I really want them to have like options. And obviously, like, I'm not saying that you have to do like let everyone do what they want at all times, but definitely for a situation like this, like in the game where you have the opportunity to give people like high ground or something, I would definitely want to carry that over to any like future game development or anything like that. But speaking of which, I actually did start playing Dead Space for the first time. It's like free on PlayStation Plus right now, so I downloaded it and gave it a whirl. I've never played a Dead Space game before, and I was just kind of blown away a little bit. I thought it was more like I knew it was gonna be a linear game, but I didn't expect it to like have like the looting mechanics and stuff. I didn't know what I was expecting at all. I really just went into the game completely blind. Like that's how I am with like anything. Like I hate seeing trailers, I hate seeing like news, I don't like seeing reviews. Like I like to just go in as blind as possible to just, get like the raw experience, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I went into Dead Space, and I'm not gonna lie, I really was blown away. I don't know, it exceeded my expectations like tenfold, honestly. And like I've always known that it's been like a game that people have like cherished, I guess. Like, they wouldn't make a remaster if it wasn't considered like a classic or whatever. But yeah, I just didn't know it was that good, and honestly, I'm really enjoying my time with that, and I do kind of want to like follow in that gameplay footstep. Like, if I were to guess what my first game would ever be once I learn game development, Unreal, stuff like that, I'd imagine it'd be something in like Dead Space's like kind of gameplay loop, like where you're going in through this linear environment but also like looting and finding stuff. And I want the story to be as little hints and handholdy as possible. Like I really like the idea of people finding out the story for themselves. Like, you take a game like Elden Ring, for example. Like one of the things that it showed people was that you don't need like a million things on the HUD to like understand where you're going. Like you just explore. Like I think exploring the world and like the lore is one of the best parts about games, like getting invested in the world and the environment. So definitely want to keep that kind of like vibe going with my game. And Dead Space does the same thing. Like you start the game and you crash land, and like the game doesn't like tell you everything outright. Well, it kind of does, but like not really. Like you have to kind of do a little bit of searching or a little bit of thinking to like get to the conclusion of what the story's trying to tell. And I really appreciate that with Dead Space. And it's one of the reasons I keep like going back to playing more, is because I think the gameplay loop is just really fun. But yeah, it is like really intimidating, I'm not gonna lie, thinking about game development and how it all works and how you would even incorporate stuff like that into the game. But either way, I'm excited to finally get into it, which is soon, guys. It's really soon. I'm really excited. I think I'm gonna get a computer pretty soon and start finally learning like what I really want to do. And I'm definitely bringing you guys along for the ride. I want to do speed builds of like game development, if that makes sense. Like I think that just makes really good content. As far as I can tell, nobody's really doing that in the YouTube space. So yeah, I'm really excited with doing that. And I think overall, like it would just boost my channel's growth a lot, having more things to watch other than me make a map for like the millionth time. Like I said, I want to incorporate new games, I want to do different things. I kind of want this to be at the heart and soul of the channel, but obviously that can change in like a week's time. You never know. But I do really enjoy doing these speed builds, and I think it would be good to just have this as like a constant, something that like if you don't watch any of my other content but you find this entertaining, you will always find this on my channel. So something like that, you never know. But I do really enjoy making these videos, and I think it'll just connect really well with what I want to do in my career. Like if I somehow get a big following on here and I start making a game, and the game starts looking really good, and you guys start to respond to it, and you're like, man, it's just starting to look really good, like I'll wish list it, stuff like that. It'll just like boost me in a way that it's just like a win-win scenario, you know what I mean? Like I like creating content, I like creating this specific type of content, and it just connects really well, goes hand in hand with what I want to do as a career. So I'm just like really excited for this whole like endeavor basically that I'm trying to go on to and make happen. Honestly, like trust me, I just want to like I'm trying to get this stuff sorted out now, because I know it's all kind of weird and I'm not exactly the best creator yet. Obviously, I just started, I'm really just doing this in my bedroom right now. I know my commentary isn't the best, but with time, I'm sure it'll like get to a point where I'm really proud of it, and we can just go from there. I don't know. I'm just excited, man, because one day I'll end up working at Ubisoft, and who knows? Who knows what happens then? Like anything other than the 9 to 5 really is like the dream for me. Um, but yeah, I did want to also touch in with this specific area real quick. I did want to mention that this whole level so far, I'm already in the point where I'm already like doubting everything. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I booted it up to work on this house here, I don't know, I just took a look around and I was a little bit like, damn, like, is this actually like looking good? Like, are the people watching, are you guys even thinking like this is good, or are you watching me like as in like an amateur? Like, I don't know, man. Like, dude, I'm so desperate to like get some reassurance in here, bro. Like, I just need to know, like, where do I stand on like the environmental design aspect. I am so curious to know, because I play a lot of games. Like, it's one of the only things I really enjoy doing besides like art and stuff. Like, I really do like games. I like gaming a lot, and it's just my dream to make levels that I would see in AAA games. So I just hope that I'm doing good. I just don't know. I can't tell. Like, this level right now, there's already things that I would change if I were to go back to like the first stages of like, terrain and like placement and stuff like that. There's already so many things I'd probably change about it. Like, I don't like how flat the areas look. I want more hills and stuff, but again, it's just hard to do in this engine. So maybe I need to unlock my full potential by doing this in like a real setting, which is what I want to do anyways. But I don't know, is this looking good? All right, just let me know if you come across this, even if you're not a subscriber and this is like your first video and you're not even like interested in staying here. You're just watching this because you're like, it's like 3 a.m. and somehow you came across this. Like, bro, please comment down below, man. Like, how does this look? Like, tell me, is the mud too much? I had this idea here for like a grave. I had this idea here for like a grave to like, environmental storytelling. Like, this person that lived in a house, like, what, it's probably his dog or something. I don't know. I just didn't want it to be like flat, I guess. I didn't want it to just be like a shed back there. I feel like that would have been the easy route. So I kind of went with something a little different. Put a little grave back there, and I don't know. I did want this area to be more forested though, so that's why I'm like spamming the trees. Although it's not as forested as I want it to be, but at the same time, it is like, I want there to be more lights, but it's just really hard to do with these trees, man. I'm telling you, like, the trees, they just don't do like the whole canopy thing very well, or like just the scale of it all is kind of off. Like, in my head, I'm envisioning there's like a lot of trees here, and like you get like this whole canopy of shadows with like the sun barely like peeking in. But unless I'm spamming trees everywhere, unless the road was really tiny, there's just no way to get that effect with like the current assets I have available. So that's what makes me think that once I get into like doing my own game and I make my own assets and stuff, like the level of realness in my environments would go up like tenfold, because there's only so much you could do with Ubisoft assets, right? So listen, I give credit where credit is due. I think Ubisoft really like pioneered this genre of game, like open world games. Like, obviously Rockstar, I think, is the one who like pioneered it, right? Pioneer is maybe not the right word, but like a casual open world game where you just like, because Rockstar, they only released like 2 games in the last like decade, so it's like it's, you can only get this type of experience from a Ubisoft game. I think there's not really many open world games that do the Ubisoft thing right, besides Ghost of Tsushima. Like, that game is just on another level. I think it did everything that Ubisoft does, but better. But Ubisoft still has a lot of like credit in my head. I think they really, I don't know, they showed that it's possible to make really immersive worlds and not have to wait like a million years for them. No hate to Rockstar, because Rockstar just takes it to like the absolute next level. But yeah, I'm just saying, Ubisoft and me, we have a good history. I like Ubisoft games, loved Assassin's Creed. I really like The Crew. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but like one of my favorite racing games, like racing around the United States. Like, come on, like that's crazy, and it's only something you could really do in a Ubisoft game. So I really, or American Truck Simulator, but big difference there, right? So I really want to give credit to Ubisoft for that. Now, will I carry their philosophies over to my games is a different question, right? Because me personally, I definitely like the idea of keeping stuff. I definitely like the idea of keeping stuff. How do I say this? Unexpected. I don't like the gameplay of just like you get into the game and you know what you're already going to be doing for the next like however many hours, you know what I mean, like 50 hours. Like you've basically finished a prologue and it's like, well, welcome to this beautiful world, and quest number one, do this, and you're looking at the view. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this is the classic open world game trope. And at that point, you already know that like the only thing that's going to change from now to the end of the game is your equipment and like the gameplay, like getting easier and harder at the same time, just your power getting better and stuff like that. But otherwise, everything in the game is basically the same. You're just going to go in, talk to people, get quests, level up, yada yada yada. I definitely want to steer clear from that personally. I want to make games that have a lot of unexpected twists, I guess you could say. I don't want to make the mistake of being similar all the time. And I'm not to say that I would never do like an open world game, because I think open world games are really fun, but you have to strike like a good balance of like, I don't know, because a lot of open world games, people get tired of them or they get bored of them because you just do the same thing all the time. Like, unless it has a really gripping story and unless the gameplay doesn't get too stale, like the gameplay loop itself is like really fun and engaging, it's really hard to keep people like captivated for a long time. So I definitely don't want to do that. I want to keep like everything really unexpected and interesting, like the stories. It kind of reminds me of this like, I don't know if you guys remember, but in The Last of Us 2, there's this one specific scene that always sticks in my brain where you go and you're like starting the Chicago mission with Chicago. You're starting like the Seattle Day 2 mission with Ellie. And you get to this point, you just start this level and you're exploring and you come across this like workbench in like an apartment. And you can read this note, but I think on my first playthrough I didn't read this note that like basically gave it away. But basically you sit there, you go to your workbench like you would any other workbench in the game, and you start doing stuff, and there's like 3 seconds where you're just like, doing your usual workbench stuff, upgrading your guns, and then like out of nowhere somebody grabs you from behind while you're at the workbench and like chokes you out, and you like fight them, and like you just got ambushed basically. And I'll always remember this moment because it was so unexpected. Like you've used like those workbenches for already like 20-30 hours, and then so you're just so accustomed to like going in, doing that, and here this time it like really shakes you out of it. Like it bro, it scared the hell out of me the first time I experienced it. And if I remember correctly, a lot of the people I used to watch play it also got super scared in that moment, which is just something that The Last of Us 2 did really good. Like there's a lot of unexpected moments. Another one that jumps to my head is like the first day with Dina, and you're like riding the horse. You get to this point where you cross like a tripwire kind of, or something that's on the floor, and your horse literally like blows up out of nowhere, like mid conversation. Stuff like that, like that's super unexpected, that plays on like the players usual gameplay. I love that stuff. I will definitely carry that over to like anything I do in the future. I really want that unexpectedness to always be like in your head. Like I don't want you to get used to the gameplay, if that makes sense. So I definitely want to keep doing that. It also reminds me of like Dead Space, for example. I was kind of disappointed because now I haven't finished the game. I'm exactly 50% of the way through according to PlayStation, but I was really disappointed with like you got to this mission where like you meet the scientist, and he like lets go of like this hunter alien, right? And you can destroy its limbs, but they'll grow back, right? And you like get rid of it, and it'll start hunting you throughout the game. So like you go through a level, and if you make noise, like the aliens will come out, and so will the hunter, right? And I was like, dude, this is such a good gameplay idea, right? Because you're like always gonna be on the lookout for this hunter, that came out of nowhere. Basically, like you were so used to your usual gameplay loop of like opening doors, pressing R3 to see where to go, looting, blah blah blah, and now you got this hunter that's chasing you too. It's like it adds a lot of tension, and then you freaking freeze it. You freeze it in the next like 2 hours, right? Or not even, like an hour later you freeze it, and you never have to worry about it again for now. Obviously I don't know what happens the rest of the game, and I know there's also Dead Space 2 and 3, so who knows, they probably like reintroduce that mechanic. But man, my disappointment when I froze it and I didn't have to worry about it again, I was like, no, like that's what kept the gameplay so engaging the last like hour or so. But whatever, it could come back, who knows. But I definitely want to keep that idea for my game. I want there to be that unexpected nature of everything. That hunter thing would make a great online mode, by the way. Like I think that's obviously been done before, like with a bunch of other games. But I would probably, now I don't know about making like online in my game, but if I were making an online like mode, I would definitely have it play on like the horror aspect. I think that's the most fun and engaging part. Like even Among Us, I would say, like kind of captures that, like, I don't know, or what was that game that kind of got, that popped off a little bit, where you played as like astronauts. Damn, what was it called? Man, we play as astronauts, you go in, you collect stuff, you bring it back to the ship and stuff. That game like also plays on the horror stuff, or like the voice chat. So definitely want to keep that stuff in my game. And I don't know about online, but if I were doing it online, it would definitely play on the same like idea. But yeah, guys, this whole yap session later, I think I spent how many minutes? 23 minutes just yapping here about games and stuff. But to get back onto like the video itself and what I'm doing here, before we end it off, I did want to just recap. Basically, now you see me, I'm basically making this like first entrance. If you're driving down the road, you can like catch this on the corner of your eye and be like, oh, before I like progress, like let me check it out up here. And I'll probably put like another sniper or something up there too, so, or like a rifle. And you find that now you can like pick off people from this little house on the top of the mountain. And I really like how this house came out. I like this like overgrown feel that is, I kind of went with. I really like how the assets in the backyard like fit in. I do have to go back and do the other house that's in the town and kind of do the same thing, litter it with assets and stuff. But I really do like this like overgrown, shadowy feel. I think it looks good. I think the grave came out pretty nice as well. And for the most part, from here on out, I kind of just go in and polish up stuff, put barrels in crates, and the usual stuff. But I think this is a nice arena. I'm excited to see how I make it feel gameplay wise. I'm probably gonna have a lot of enemies here, but maybe most of them would come from like a backup kind of thing. I don't think I'd have a lot of enemies just chilling here. But if you start like fighting them, I want them to like come in driving and like as if somebody called in the alarm or something. And I think it'll play good. I'm honestly just excited to get into the AI stuff in general. I don't know if I'm gonna be speed building the AI parts. Maybe I will. I'll probably just try it out. I'll just record it and put it into OBS or whatever and see how it feels. But it is kind of a long process. Like AI is, I would say, the third act of like making a level. Like it is very important, and it takes a long time to like play test. You have to play test so much. You go into this level like a million times to the point where it gets to the point where it's becoming too easy for you to play. So you kind of lose track of like how difficult the level is in general. So sometimes I'll put too many enemies or too little enemies, or I make the games a little too hard, because it's easy for me because I played it so many times. And I don't know. I like to keep the gameplay interesting, so a lot of the time I get carried away with enemies and stuff. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed. I know that I was absent last week, but it shouldn't happen anymore. I'm going to be posting every Thursday, like always. I'm also going to be posting shorts, or at least I'll try to. I don't know exactly how I'm going to edit these down. I'm thinking of making like a smaller build, or go over my work process in like a short format. I don't know yet. But we'll see how it goes. I definitely want to keep the content as consistent as possible, and now that I'm in the new place, it's going to be a lot easier to do that. My room is a lot quieter. I don't know if you can tell, but it is a lot quieter, a lot easier to record in. So yeah, content every Thursday at 12 o'clock. Today I'm late, I know, but next Thursday, 12 o'clock, I'll be there. And if I do, make a short, it'll be available Tuesday. And I will have like shorts be like Tuesday. If, I think the content is good enough for it or whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe.